I want to just kind of tell you a story from yesterday. I want to see what you think I would have done. So right now, as we're recording this, it is early March. It is March 8th. So yesterday, I got an email from someone who is on their own 165. They said they wanted to go up to like 173. They wanted to start working with me for the April LSAT so that they could apply this cycle in May. And
This
my
cycle.
question, my question for you is, what do you think I said?
I think you said no. I think you said, I'm not promising you to be ready for April, and also applying this cycle is crazy, but we can shoot for next cycle, maybe.
I told them that imagine making literally in this planet with 7, 8, however many billion people there are. Imagine making literally the best sandwich that has ever been made and then covering it in urine, dog feces, and vomit. And I'm like, that's what you're doing by applying in May. I'm like,
Yeah,
a 165 on your own is incredible. Like, this person is probably lowballing themselves if they're stopping at 173, if they're starting at 165.
yeah.
And you're applying in May. I'm guessing this guy has all the potential to be a super splitter. So I told him, I said, I'm not gonna. He was like, I get it, I get it. I'm like, dude, I'm not even gonna work with you now because I don't trust you. Like,
Yeah.
I think if I worked with you, you would take April and apply in May. So I said, I won't work with you till June.
Oh, that's that's admirable of you, Will.
Thank you or foolish, I don't know, but I'm not helping them. I'm not
Yeah.
helping them screw themselves up. But
The
that's
the
yeah.
the February test was too late. Some might argue that the January test is too late. Um,
I think it depends where you're applying and what you're shooting for.
yeah.
There are schools where the January test is totally fine. Now, if you're a super splitter, I mean, who knows? Maybe you should be ambitious, and if you're ambitious, the January test is definitely too late.
The way I see it.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, do I would say you pretty much, since I've known you, I mean, there have been stops and starts, of course, but ultimately you came pretty close to putting in a 100% effort on your application. I mean, there's probably
Yeah.
always more you can do, but
Yeah.
like, you came very close to like, this is the maximum I can possibly do. And here's my question to you. Do you think you would have been that motivated if you had like a 3-2?
I don't know. That's a really good question. Because I I wonder, I've asked that question about people who I see on the line with like 3 9s or 3 8s who just phone in the LSAT. Like they just, they're in the low 150s and that's what they apply with. And sometimes it works out for them, but oftentimes it doesn't because I think we've all noticed that the schools actually put a higher weight on the LSAT than GPA. So I think that's a really good question. I wonder if I would have gotten complacent if my LSAT GPA was above a 3.0. I'm not sure.
There is a
Uh,
there's a personal statement I worked on that is, in my opinion, the best personal statement I've ever worked on. I think it's an 11 out of 10. I think it's incredible. The person also had a 395. This person also had a 158 without working with me. So this is a person who, if they worked with me, would have had a score in the 170s and could have like undoubtedly they would have had the best personal statement they would have had it all. And
yeah.
that's someone who could have absolutely, and I'm pretty sure they were a URM. I didn't like get into it, but based on their name, I would have been very shocked if they were Caucasian. Um
Hmm.
but they like didn't what was the word I was looking for? So this is a person who like could have had the god tier application and they just didn't want to work on their LSAT.
Yeah.
Like
No,
no interest.
I see that all the time on Reddit and Discord. It's really disappointing. It's infuriating when, I mean, not that these people owe me anything, and
It's
but at
sad.
it's sad that you waste a perfectly good GPA by just phoning in the LSAT.
Which is so much more work. The GPA is so much more work than the LSAT.
Yeah, but I think lots of people are scared of the LSAT. Lots of people think that it is like some sort of IQ test. They think that they've bought into this notion that the LSAT is not learnable. So whatever you get is whatever you get. You're not gonna fluctuate that much. And to be honest, some of the schools kind of reinforced that idea because I remember several schools that I applied to requested addendums for large discrepancies in LSAT. And their definition of a large discrepancy was 4 points. Yeah, yeah, 4 points. And I'm like, that's not a discrepancy.
This if they have any, because I have my own opinions about what this is.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if your friends in this community have opinions on what to do when.
I, one of the, there was one school that I actively did not apply to because they asked for this. And I was like, I was very snooty about it. I was like, y'all are not that good anyways. And so I did not apply. But then there was another school that I played ball with them because they were that good.
Mhm.
And I literally wrote one line. I said, I studied for the LSAT and got a higher score. And that's it. One
Yeah,
sentence. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah.
so I studied more and got a better. Like it's like
And
this.
luckily for me, not so. I don't know if you remember when we first started working together. I told you that I no-showed to the first LSAT that I registered for, and this was in 2019. I just changed my mind and I didn't show up. But outside of that, by the time I decided to seriously study for the LSAT and I decided I absolutely want to go to law school, I I'd started getting good advice from you and other good content producers in the LSAT space that don't register until you're ready. Don't throw away your attempts just to try. So lucky for me, I only have two attempts on record, and they're both one's a 95th percentile score, one's a 99th percentile score, so it's not, I don't think it's that big a deal. But if I hadn't heard that news, I was one of those people who was just going to show up to the LSAT, not study, not prepare, just to see what was going on. What is this test all about?
Really push back. I mean, I don't. I'm trying to think of how to say this. My issue is not with people signing up. My
Hmm.
issue is people picking a date in advance to be done with studying. Right?
Oh,
So there's a difference between usually what I'm pushing back against is someone who's like, I want to be done studying by this month.
yeah.
That's
And I didn't
in
do that at all.
that's problem.
I, yeah, I started studying and I was like, however long it takes is however long it takes. And that was it.
Sound like it's bad to have a low score on record, which is not true at all. We'll probably hit this more in a different
Yeah.
episode, but like you should not be worried about having a low score on record. You can like blow it the first time. It doesn't mean anything, blah 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 blah.
True, true, because schools really only care about your highest
Yeah.
score.
And
Um,
when I'm telling people to calm down, it's mostly the timeline. It's not literally like, "Oh no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you want to check Colleen Buck out? Is
I
there
don't know.
somewhere?" Okay, don't
You can
check her out.
follow
She's a
me.
private person. She's very busy. She doesn't have time for your BS. Just hit me up. That's totally
Yes,
fine.
just hit up Will. It's fine. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. So thank you guys for listening, and we're looking forward to spending the next few episodes with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. Bye.